This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
Drive to deep center field. Going back, Hernandez at the track, right to the wall. Gone! Elvis Andrews!
And 29 other MLB clubs.
High drive, deep left field. Nino left the building.
Guerrero lifts one to left field and gone! Ohtani, that was a moonshot out there in the right center.
Alonso defends his title, the 2021 Derby champion.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from OPS Plus to juiced balls to game-changing moments. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us next from the town, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Well, happy Friday to all you A's fans. Yeah, we got a little Friday baseball. Game 2 of a 4-game set between the Athletics and the Mariners from the Pacific Northwest. Dave Kaval, the president's going to be riding high today after another win for him and the organization. He's going to be here at 4:05. Ryan Rowland-Smith. Didn't I tell you never to book anybody that has 3 names?
I'm trying to think. I guess Roland is. Can you name a person Smith? Oh, you're someone.
Ryan Rowland.
But can you name can you give the first name Smith to someone though? Besides Agent Smith from The Matrix.
No, their first name is Smith.
I don't know. They just call him Smith in the movie.
Yeah, but your actual name.
Oh yeah, Smith. Smith Townsend. Smith Elias.
I've never heard of a Smith as a first name.
I know. So
Ryan Rowland-Smith. Can you trust somebody that's got 3 names?
Well, not always.
Well, he does Mariners pre and post. Remember, he pitched in the big leagues, and he's a friend of the program. And then it's Friday, so that means it's time for the Mark Kotsay show. And that will be at 5:30. So the president at 4:05, Ryan Rowland-Smith at 5 o'clock, and Mark Kotsay at 5:30. You know, today could have been really rough. It could have been. And the fact that it passed, we wondered, is this thing going to pass? Then we started hearing it was going to be a slam dunk. Didn't know how big of a slam dunk, but my God, we'll take the slam dunk. And now it moves on. And it's going to be interesting to hear from Dave Kaval. Okay, you can breathe a little bit. You passed. Now what? And now it sounds like July 5th, the city council has to decide, all right, when are we going to have some binding votes? Because that's, to me, hearings, council meetings, votes, all this kind of, we need binding votes. This was a vote that truly mattered, because if it was a no, the A's were done with Howard Terminal. This was a vote that really was project either happens or it doesn't. We've had so many meetings that are like, it's a meeting to a meeting to a meeting. It's a hearing to a hearing to a meeting to a council meeting to county to. This was, it's got to be a yes or a no. Yes, project lives on. No, oh my God, what are we talking about? And something that I'm going to ask Dave Kaval about, because for some of our A's fans who have dogged our good friend, Chris Mad Dog Russo, High Heat on MLB Network, they started their show out today, their A block, with Alana Rizzo down in L.A. being a part of the show. They started the program with Howard Terminal, a show that's based out of New York, started the show with Howard Terminal. I thought that was huge. What does that tell you? That from New York to all around baseball, everybody's paying attention to what Dave Kaval and the Oakland A's are doing right now. And let's welcome the president of the Oakland Athletics. Dave, you got to be feeling great. You wake up this morning and another hurdle you have climbed.
Yeah, it feels tremendous. I mean, this is a really tough approval, a super majority. To get 23 yes votes, I mean, it exceeded our wildest expectations. And so it was a great day for the A's and for Oakland and for our entire project at the waterfront.
We need to get something from you to represent you, to give you the good mojo on the A's Cast Live set. I know we haven't done a Dave Kaval bobblehead doll yet, but we got to get something for the set from you.
I'll send you guys something. I'll send you something. Yeah. Maybe one of the bobbleheads I made for the Golden Baseball League that I started. I got a
perfect.
I got a Ricky Henderson bobblehead, and I can give you that. So
we've been collecting. Like Cody just went to the ballpark in Arlington, brought us back Nolan Ryan. So we're
I have the Ricky over here. I'm gonna get it. One sec. Don't go anywhere.
Right. Perfect. We're here.
Beauty of live television now.
Safeco Field.
It's another dandy I got when I was up there. Safeco.
There it is right here. There it is.
Oh, I love it.
Ricky Henderson, San Diego Surf Dogs. There it is. It's pretty good. It's similar to the one he has in the Oakland. So he's got his shades on. So I'll send you a couple of those. I'll send you one of those.
Absolutely love it. Well, so now I think the big question is, where do we go from here? We're hearing about July 5th, City Council. When can we start talking about the vote that truly matters, a binding vote?
Well, hopefully soon. Hopefully we navigate this July 5th situation and they don't actually do this advisory measure. We cannot have no more advisory measures. We need to have definitive binding votes. We're 5 years in. The time for advisory things is past. It's time to vote on the project. We're very close, and hopefully there's enough political will to schedule the vote before Mayor Schaaf leaves office and to get it in front of the city council and hopefully get a yes.
So what exactly has to happen so that we don't have this advisory deal going on in November or whenever it's going to go?
Well, we need to fend off the July 5th meeting. We've been spending time with the different council members. I don't think they have enough votes to actually put it on the ballot right now. They need 5 affirmative votes as city council members. And we've talked to the city council members and expressed, obviously through the media too, that is not a path for success on this project. We do not need more advisory measures. We need an actual binding vote. We're actually quite close. Let's not squander this incredible opportunity.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You want to hear binding. I mean, I was just talking about before you came on, we're all tired of hearing about meetings that lead to meetings that lead to...
Yeah, we're done with that. We're done with that. We just need a final binding vote of the city council. It would be the development agreement and community benefits agreement. It would be the economic deal. It creates vesting rights for the A's and our ability to develop the site. And it's incredibly powerful. It's the fulcrum, which this entire project is kind of like, holding on. And so we need to do everything that we can to get that approval as soon as possible.
So if we got everything rolling and the timeline was going the exact way you wanted it, we get binding votes and we're all in this together and it's going to happen, when do you think we could have a ballpark?
Well, it'll depend on the lawsuits. That's still a wild card because the lawsuits may require some change. Like they have to be adjudicated within 270 days, but they could throw some type of wrench into the approval. They could require something that we're not expecting or create a longer timeline. So if we don't run into big problems with that, I think we could realistically open by 2027. That's what we would hope for. But, the city would have to really play ball with us. We'd have to get these approvals. We'd have to fend off the lawsuits early next year. And we'd have to really get going on all these different things, which we really want to do, but we can't do unless you have a binding agreement.
I talk about it all the time, whether it's on this show or the A's Clubhouse show, when I'm taking the phone calls from the fans, and I feel like it falls on deaf ears. But I kind of got backed up today by MLB Network, where I talk all the time, like, folks, the NBA left. The NFL left. Like, people should be up in arms. You can't lose Major League Baseball now. And I don't hear that many champions out there. And yet here on MLB Network today, they're saying the same thing. Like, what is Oakland thinking? And, of course, they don't mention Alameda County. But what are we thinking by losing the NBA and the NFL and potentially losing Major League Baseball? This is nuts. Why does everybody else outside of our market think it's nuts? But here you just don't have enough people who are just disgusted by even the thought of it.
Well, we need to rally that support because I think you're right. People look at it in other communities and they say, this is incredible. How could you lose 3 teams in, 3 or 4 years? And, it's on the cusp of happening. We are the only team that's really fought to stay, over the last 5 years, invested hundreds of millions of dollars and time and effort and all the approvals and hoops we've jumped through. And we're as close as we've ever been, but we need, and I think some of it is fatigue because it's been going on so long, 25 years, people are just kind of like resigned that it's never going to happen. But it actually could happen, Tony. Like it could happen. Like we could get this thing approved between now and the end of the year. Now it's not set in stone. If we don't have a vote, it's definitely not getting approved. But, we're as close as we ever were. If people could actually just say, hey, this is the moment to lean in, this would be the moment.
How can people influence the city council at this point?
Well, one, if you're an Oakland resident, you have to contact your city council member and stress that we need a real binding vote. And it's an election year, so they really pay attention if they get an email. Like it kind of matters. So I think we need to do what we can to, put that political pressure. Our union partners have been an incredible ally. We've done a tremendous amount, social media. We've had billboard signs. We've done a lot of things in Oakland. And then keep in mind, we also can actually put pressure on the supervisors at the county level. If you live in Alameda County, there are supervisors that are going to have a stay too because they have a vote. So people can contribute in a lot of different fashions to making this happen. And I know it's been a really long fight and it seems like, is it even going to happen? But like I'm trying to really stress, and you're doing a great job with this too, Tony, we are very close. And the actions we all take at this moment will determine if we stay in Oakland or not.
So if this is like a football game, it's fourth quarter, it's the end of the game, you're in the red zone. How close are you to the goal line punching it into the end zone?
I think we're in the red zone, but we're not actually like first and goal. It's like we're close enough. We could score a touchdown from here, but we can't just like run it 1 yard in. So we're very close. And it's like somebody asked me the other day to mix another metaphor with baseball, like what base are we on in this thing? And it's like, look, we're in scoring position. Runners are in scoring position. So if we just get an RBI hitter up, we're going to make this thing happen. And so it's on the cusp, but by the same token, it could go awry. Like it's not guaranteed.
Ducks are on the pond, as they like to say.
Yes, I tweeted that out yesterday, right before the vote.
Yeah.
So when you are you able to talk to city council members individually? And
yeah,
what
we do. We talk to them. We talk to the mayor. We talk to the staff. I mean, I had several calls with the mayor today. There's negotiations happening every day. And, we have the city negotiating team as well. We have our internal team. Like there is a tremendous amount of work being done and we're very close on a development agreement, but I'm more worried about not scheduling the vote in time. I think the process could trip us up here in an election year. And especially if it gets scheduled in the lame duck session, that really scares me because once the election occurs, if then we take a vote 3 weeks later around Thanksgiving, it'll be like, well, shouldn't we have the new council vote on this?
Oh.
You already hear it. I'm telling you right now, that is going to happen. So we can't let ourselves fall into that trap. We need a vote in September or October. And that is really the course that I think we need to pursue.
And I have the people who call the postgame show all the time and say to me, well, it was supposed to be all rooted about Oakland. I said, it was, but if you stayed there, they would keep pushing it back and pushing it back and pushing it back. And that's why the organization has to have leverage. And the organization has to have talks with somebody else in Las Vegas. If you just said rooted in Oakland and didn't have leverage, who knows if a vote would ever even happen, right?
Well, we tried that and we couldn't get a single binding vote. Like that was attempted and a lot of time and effort went into that. And I think MLB as well as us felt that like, one, we were running out of time too. Remember, like our current facility is not so great. It's like 10 years past its useful life. We got the vote yesterday and then I went out after I did all my media and I went outside and I go through the arena and boom, guess what I saw? A bunch of feral cats just hanging out. And so like the place obviously has a lot of charm. People have a lot of great memories there, but we need a new home. and we have to get this done really immediately.
And then, as you're going to say, there's a parallel project. What's going on with Las Vegas?
Oh, we're making great progress there too. We're down to a handful of sites in the resort corridor. We have weekly meetings like 9 to 7 on Tuesdays going through the design. We're looking at different options for retractable domes that are pretty awesome. And the locations are really iconic. So there is a plan there that can work for the A's or for Major League Baseball. And it has its own momentum and speed to it. And if Oakland can't, on its path, make the progress, at some point we're going to have a place to play, Tony. And so that's just the stark reality of this. And, I know it's hard for our fans to deal with the roller coaster that this is, but we have to bring this to a resolution. It's gone on, this 25 years has been going on.
And there's a lot of people waiting on it because I've been doing some TV with Dave Stewart. So we sit around for 3 hours watching the game, and I've talked to him so much about all the great work that they've done in Nashville. And it's a lot of what you've been doing here in Oakland. And Dave Stewart and his group, they're ready to rock. They're sitting there waiting, and the commissioner's waiting on Oakland and Tampa. And once he can get Oakland and Tampa done, then he can announce Nashville and whatever, because we know they want to expand to 32 teams. So this is Oakland, and this is other places. Everybody's like, let's go, right? Everybody in baseball wants to start making some announcements.
It's a domino effect. And I think it's important for the league to continue to grow. I saw that when I was in Major League Soccer. Adding the new franchises in the new markets created a storyline. It was interesting. It created new fans and new brands and excitement. And so that's needed. And that attracts younger people too to the sport. And so these are all really important strategic objectives at the major league level that I know the commissioner and his staff are advocating. And so, yes, people are waiting. It's time for a decision. The time is now for a vote.
I think that, in business, you want to be able to look yourself in the mirror and say you've done everything you possibly could do. And we talk about this all the time on the show. You look at the other executives from the other franchises that were here, and the work that they may have done, may not have done, led their franchises out of town. I think there is no question that every single night you can look yourself in the mirror knowing you're doing everything you can to try and make this happen in Oakland.
We are pushing as hard as we can. Financially, we're spending millions of dollars a month. We have an incredible team of people stood up to make this happen. I'm working, as every waking hour to try to make this happen. And I know it's frustrating for our fans because it hasn't occurred yet. And it just seems like it's taking forever. But we are actually as close as we've ever been. And if we can actually get this thing scheduled before Libby leaves office, we might have a shot of pulling everything off, which would it would be incredible. I mean, the waterfront vision, the stadium, the ballpark village, Jack London Square, the rooftop park. I mean, this thing it's iconic building. Amazing.
Well, no matter what, failure's not an option.
Plan A. You're the ace. We only have plan A.
You're the best, Dave. Congratulations on the vote yesterday, and we're going to be paying close attention to what's coming up because you could say, right, that this is the most important year in the history of the Oakland Athletics.
There's been no more consequential moment, and so it's all kind of on the line right now. And we got through a critical hurdle yesterday, but we have the next one is the tallest hill to climb.
Be well, and we'll talk soon.
Happy 4th.
That's your president, Dave Kaval. You can't say it enough. This is, I know the baseball aspect, and we're, like I said yesterday, we're baseball guys. We're not politicians. I don't know about ports. I don't know about land deals. I don't know. That's not, if that's the business I was in, I would know it, but I'm not in that business. So, above my pay grade. But however you feel, and a lot of people who loved Dave Kaval when he first came in, then kind of turned on him because all of a sudden you heard Vegas. If there was not Vegas, if there was not a leverage play, they wouldn't vote. I mean, how does anybody deny that? And I'll see people on Twitter going, just say you're going to Vegas now. If they were just going to Vegas, they wouldn't go through all of this. They wouldn't spend all the money. They wouldn't spend all the time. They just go the way the Raiders went. It's like, how do you not see this? I'll take my A's employee hat off. I'll take A's fanboy hat off. I'll take it all off. Just as a person who's done business. Why, if my whole intent at this point was to get the hell out of here, why would I go through all of this? Why would I continue to spend the money? Why would I continue to spend the time? That's another question nobody has the answer for. But you'll see it on Twitter. You'll see, now even after this vote, there's going to Vegas, there's going to Vegas. Why would they spend the time if that was the case? If that was just a slam dunk deal and they were going, wouldn't they have just done what the Raiders did, where the Raiders said, we're not talking to Oakland anymore? What did the Warriors do? We're not talking to you anymore. Heisman Trophy pose. That's what the Heisman was. If you take the Heisman Trophy, that's what the Warriors did from Mayor Kwan. When was Mayor Kwan last in office?
Let me look. I don't even think was she in office when I lived here. Let me see. Because I've been here.
She was there.
Gene Kwan was in from 2011 to 2015.
Okay. As of 2015, remember that time at Roracle, Mayor Kwan sat with Joe Lacob at the game, and all the pro-Oakland people were like, see, they're talking, and they were never talking. The Warriors stiffed Oakland back in 2014-15, gave you the Heisman. Raiders, once the Vegas became an option, Raiders were like, see ya, we're not dealing with this crap. But yet, you still have the people who believe that it's a done deal that the A's are leaving. You're like, why would you waste the time? I don't care what bit. Take who I am off the table. Take that we're not even talking about the A's. Let's just say business B. This is business B right here. Why would business B spend all the time and money still doing this if there was a foregone conclusion they were leaving? When Tesla was leaving the Bay Area, were they still doing a bunch of stuff, figuring out how to stay in the Bay Area when they were leaving?
I don't think so, no. Where'd they move to anyway? Austin?
Yeah. Like, if you're moving your business, if I'm saying I'm relocating my employees, I'm relocating business offices, everything, why would I still spend money and time in the area that I'm at? Makes no business sense. But yet, why would I think anything in Twitter, especially around the A's, would make sense?
It's a great point, because not a lot of stuff around the A's and Twitter makes sense. Well, nothing on Twitter really makes sense.
I keep asking the question. Explain to me how the naysayers and all the people, it's a foregone conclusion, just leave. How does Oakland win losing all three professional sports teams? What's the prize? Hey, you lost the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball. You won. You won. As a person that's a taxpayer, as a person that lives in Oakland, you live in the cities around, you live in the county, what benefit did you all just win by losing everything? I still haven't heard that answer. And I've opened up the phone lines at 833-625-2278. I got a lot of naysayers that will say why the project, there's always going to be people that are against a project. Okay, you can say why you're against this project, but if that leads to the A's going out of town, how did the city of Oakland, how did the county, how did they win? How did they get better? How's their progress in life? And I know the answer. You know the answer, because we're already living the answer. Nothing will change. What's changed since the Warriors left? What's changed since the Raiders left? Nothing. The A's leave. You think stuff will change? Yeah, probably the change will be they'll tear down the Coliseum. I don't know if they'll tear down the arena. They'll build some low-income housing. That's a lot of talk with politicians these days. They want more low-income housing. Housing's a problem. Totally understand. But will Howard Terminal change? That goes back to the port in 2025 if you don't build. Jack London have like a big renaissance to it? I mean, 10 years from now, what will be different? How will the city and the county haven't gotten better? What community, what part of community have you gotten better? Are you all going to get a check? Is there something coming in the mail saying, hey, the NBA, the NFL, and Major League Baseball left. Here's more money for you, the taxpayer. Is that coming?
I highly doubt it.
I highly doubt it too. And why is everybody else so, well, I want to pick my words. Why is so many other people, I don't want to say the words upset. I don't want to say distraught. But there's a lot of other people who just go, I can't believe this is happening. There are so many people that live outside this area that go, wait a minute, you've lost the NBA. You've lost the NFL. Who in Oakland is saying this? All right. I don't want to hear about Casey Pratt. Casey Pratt, love him to death. Channel 7, great job covering this. Casey doesn't live in Oakland. Casey's not from Oakland. Now, that really doesn't matter. You don't have to be from the exact city. A lot of people grow up around cities, huge fans. Not everybody grows up in the Bronx and is a Yankees fan. Brody Brazil, who we had on yesterday, doing a great job covering it. Brody didn't live in Oakland. Who in Oakland? Is there a writer I don't know of? I mean, it's hard now to follow it because the Oakland Tribune's gone. Journalism has changed. But who is somebody that is standing up that's not on my radar, that is standing up and just going nuts over and should be distraught? The fact that you could be losing your third professional sports franchise. And what scares me is, do the A's care more than the city does? And that's why I get back to the whole point. What's changed since the NBA and NFL left? From what I've seen, nothing. Does the city even care? Like the city, would a lot of people in the city like the Howard Terminal area to be nice and cool and have a ballpark and have all the stuff that goes with it? Jack London, have the entire wharf just redone. And my God, look what happened in San Francisco. Look how San Francisco changed. Would people like that? Yeah. But if the A's just left, how many would care? Do the A's care more than the city and the people actually in the city? And do the people that live outside the city care more than the people in the city? How much does Oakland care? Put that up for a poll. Do that in some political polling. I don't know. Because you've watched the other two walk out without a fight at all. There was no fight whatsoever. So whether you want to talk politicians, you want to talk people that live in the city, there literally was no fight. Warriors leaving. And there was even they left, but they're just right across the bay. No, they left Oakland. The jobs, taxes, they tried to stiff you with the bill too. If the A's do leave, does Oakland just go, oh?
You would hope not. You would hope that they would try to fight to keep them to stay here. But, I mean, you've already illustrated it enough that they lost the NFL and the NBA. I mean, what if the Warriors...
Like that. Like that. It happened. It happened like that. I worked multiple last Raider games. Remember, it was going to happen. Going to be one more year. So I twice had to do this is the last game at the Coliseum. I did it twice. Guess what? Game ended. There were some people who threw stuff on the field. There were some people who booed. People walked out of the stadium. And after that, nothing's changed. What's changed? There wasn't demonstrations. There wasn't people freaking out. There wasn't protests. There was nothing. And if there was, it was all so small, it wasn't on anybody's radar. So that's what scares me. And that's what, I mean, look what Dave's saying to you. Dave is saying, man, they keep pushing this vote out, and then they potentially could push it to the next city council. It's what I told you all for years on my talk show. It's the boulder in the middle of the road, and you bring in people, the new politicians, the new commissioners, the new blah, 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 whoever all these people are, and they barely push the boulder, and then they leave, and here comes the new crop. I was told this years ago by somebody very, very smart who'll say none of it will get done. Watch. And he gave me that. The new crop always comes in. They'll say the right stuff. Then they leave. Then the new crew comes on. And this is what Dave's saying. Dave's saying we got election, could have some new council members coming in. And if you try and push this back past Thanksgiving into next year, they're telling you this is not important. It's not important for the city. And then Major League Baseball and the A's will have to make decisions. So we're at the point of put up or shut up. And so many of you have given Oakland a pass. It's everybody else's fault. Right? It's everybody. Oh, it's Joe Lacobs. Oh, it's Mark Davis. It's always somebody else's fault. Now it's going to be John Fisher. It's always going to be somebody else's fault. Okay. And then I go back to that question no one can answer. What do you win? What do you win by not having football, basketball, and baseball in your town, in your community? Do you know the answer?
I don't, but I just know that I'm trying to absorb all this because for me growing up in Pittsburgh, we had 3 professional sports teams, and the only team that
Can you imagine the Steelers just walking up and leaving town?
Only one of them ever threatened to leave, and that was the Penguins.
Can you imagine the Pittsburgh Steelers?
No.
Saying, we're switching to another state.
No.
Like the Browns. The Cleveland Browns left Cleveland. God, I could have brought this up with Dave Kaval.
He's a Browns fan.
He grew up in Cleveland. He knows exactly what people lost their minds. They remember the Mayflower trucks, the moving trucks who left in the middle of the night out of Cleveland to Indianapolis. People in Cleveland lost their minds. They got the Browns back. And you go, hey, the Raiders came back. Yeah, and then left again. You've lost them twice. No one, has anyone lost an NFL team twice?
Sorry, I'm so, wasn't it Baltimore that they left from to go to Indianapolis? Art Modell?
Correct. That was the Colts. The Browns went to,
I'm trying to remember where they went. They did leave.
They went to Baltimore. You're right.
And then the Browns came back 3 years later, 99.
It was in Baltimore was the Mayflower trucks.
Baltimore to Indianapolis, Art Modell.
And they lost their minds. Yeah. So there's another city. I got it confused. Another city. So in Cleveland, they lost their minds. Baltimore, they lost their minds. Because I can see people now, well, this is the West Coast. Baltimore's the East Coast. So this is not like, it's a Midwest thing. No, this is Baltimore. Baltimore is East Coast. You ever been to Baltimore?
I've been through it.
Everybody's lost their mind who lose their teams. They lose their freaking mind, except Los Angeles and Oakland.
What I was getting at was...
By the way, San Francisco, you on the phone? Niners just went down to Santa Clara like it was nothing.
That's true.
Who was freaking out? Like, maybe you need to ask, how bad does the Bay Area want sports?
It's a good question to ask because, I have We have old coworkers that say, I will never go to Levi Stadium. The 49ers should have never left. They weren't even playing in San Francisco. They're playing in Brisbane. So that's not.
No, they were in.
I know before Keys are, but I'm saying.
No, Candlestick Park's in.
I thought that was Brisbane.
It's South San Francisco.
Different city.
No, it's South San Francisco.
Okay, well, then
it's their address, that address, even though their training facility, like a lot of teams are out of town, was in Santa Clara. But no, Candlestick Park.
Yeah, I think, but
was San Francisco.
But yeah, they went right down to Levi's in Santa
now
Clara.
they used to train on the peninsula back in the Montana those days.
Weren't they in Rockland?
Rockland was training camp.
Oh, training camp was Rockland.
I'm going to go to Candlestick. I haven't done this in a while. Candlestick Park, the worst place.
I swear I thought that was Brisbane.
Brisbane. It was 500 Hunters Point Park, San Francisco, California.
Maybe it was the Brisbane Caltrain station you got off on then.
When you have somebody from Pittsburgh talking Bay Area sports, you're bringing down our credibility.
Well, this is more geography than anything.
Yeah, well, you're not doing us any favor.
Oh, so it's this area right. So it's right before Candlestick.
Yeah, it's still in San Francisco.
Yeah.
But anyway, Niners left. Nobody. I mean, people said they cared. I don't remember the city of San Francisco freaking out. Maybe, just maybe.
What was it like when the Giants? Well, you were in college, but what were the people like? What were the fans? How were the people reacting when they thought the Giants could be leaving for Tampa Bay?
There was a freak out. Peter McGowan had to save that. There were 2 votes for the Giants to be in San Jose when I was in college at San Jose State. Yeah, if you look at the town of San Francisco and the town of Oakland, and you really say compare them to other sports towns and other cities, I mean, California is pretty weak. The NFL has left LA. The NFL has left NFL football's left LA quite a bit.
Multiple times.
Right? The Chargers first left LA to San Diego. Then they left San Diego back to LA. They had the Rams go to St. Louis back to LA. You had the Raiders go to LA back to Oakland. I mean, they've lost. I mean, you start to wonder, right? You start to wonder why other towns you go and you've got arena for basketball and hockey. You got a football stadium. You got baseball stadium. You got that.
First one, I think it was Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. It's all right there. Yeah. Then they have the bar Philadelphia Live, which is really cool.
Yeah, the Sixers and
I've taken a picture next to the Steve Carlton statue and Mike Schmidt statue in Philadelphia.
Real quick, what I was getting with Pittsburgh, the Penguins threatened to leave to go to Kansas City. It took Mario Lemieux buying the team to save the team to stay in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And then baseball wanted to contract the Pirates because they were terrible for 20 straight years. But still, then again, I don't know. People there might have been up in arms because it's Pittsburgh and it's Midwest and East Coast, whatever. People love sports there. I don't know. I feel like there's so much more to do out here. So the dynamic with sports isn't as what it is in New York or Boston or Philadelphia.
People can say that. I don't know. How do I know what's inside every single person that lives in Alameda County? I don't know what's inside you. I don't know what your wants and your needs are. I know the people listening to this want baseball. You wouldn't be here listening to this. Right? But I think the people listening to this need to understand what this price process is and what's at stake. You got to kind of police your own. I mean, I can go to Dave Kaval's tweet from yesterday and just go to it and click on it and read down. I haven't, but I can tell you how it'll go. I bet there's a bunch of haters, and you're like, do you want the team? Because clearly you don't give an S-bomb that the Warriors and the Raiders left. Do you want this team? What is it? I mean, that's where we're at. Where are you at?
Is this
how many people are actually going to do what Dave said? Go to the city council members, go to the county supervisors and hound them. How many of you are going to do that? I can't. They're not going to listen to us. What are you going to do about it? And if you don't do anything about it and you lose your team, it's going to be like, what are you complaining about? You know what's at stake. You know exactly what we now know what's at stake. What needs to be done to make this thing happen? If you as individuals do not help, don't be shocked if it's a bad income for about a bad outcome for you, not income, outcome. Right?
Yes. So I was like, Casey Pratt texted me and said, keep his name out your mouth.
Did he say that?
Yeah.
You don't live in Oakland, Casey. You don't. But you are doing a fantastic job. But it's true. Where's the outcry from people in Oakland? Where is it?
A lot of the outcry I've heard is a lot of the people I know that are fans of the team don't even live in Oakland.
No. I remember Save Oakland Sports. More than 2/3 of the people that were a part of it don't live in Oakland. I hate to be negative. I want to actually talk baseball today. But it's like, this is a big deal. I mean, if Oakland's got to want it. They got to want it. Right?
Yes.
We can't want it for them. They have to want it. The people you elect. How many times do we have to hear now? Because you're such a political honk.
Yeah.
Elections have consequences. Don't we hear that all the time? Democrats say it. Republicans say it. Elections have consequences. Yeah, I guess they do. These are the people you voted for. I didn't vote for them. I don't live in Oakland. Did you vote for them?
No, we voted for our candidates in Santa Clara County.
We can't help you. These are who you voted for. The people you voted for let the NBA and the NFL just walk out of town. The Raiders doesn't matter. And by the way, there's every excuse about the Raiders I've heard. No one took more phone calls on 95.7 The Game about the Raiders and the Raiders moving than this guy. I was the only one allowed.
Yeah, true, yeah.
I was the last Raiders show. I was the last of the Mohicans. They left and my NFL career died. Bye-bye.
I hate to bring it up, but the Warriors left and built an arena. What did they just do recently?
The what?
The Warriors just left.
Yeah.
Build a new arena. What have they done recently? What did they just do a few weeks ago?
They signed Kevon Looney.
Well, that was today, but they lost GP2 and Otto Porter Jr. and Bielitsa.
GP2 can't stay healthy. And who?
And Bielitsa. Juan Toscano Anderson, proud of the East Bay. It's gone. They won a championship.
It's not Draymond's fault. Yeah, how about that? Wouldn't that have been nice to have another championship in Oakland?
Because what happened at the last game at Oracle? They lost the NBA Finals to Toronto. Sorry to bring it up, but that's what happened. I know Clay and Kevin Durant got hurt, but
wouldn't that have been nice to win another championship in Oakland?
Yeah.
Would have been yours. Raiders just hosted the draft. Kind of a big deal in the NFL now.
They were just in the playoffs, too. Not at home, but...
I mean, back in the day, the draft was at Madison Square Garden.
Or was it the Radio Music City Hall? Or
I'm talking like years ago. I thought
they did the Radio Hall or whatever, too, later on. Like,
wherever.
Then now it's a
traveling show.
Yeah.
And it brings in hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars for you taxpayers to your community. It brings in business. It's a trickle-down effect. People are staying at hotels. People are going to restaurants. They're going to bars. They're putting money into your businesses. Nope, they're gone. You know what's coming? Which would have never, I don't want to say never, because I want to keep an open mind if it would have happened, but as Jim Harbaugh would say, hypotheticals. Raiders are hosting the Super Bowl. That's the biggest event in the United States of America, the most powerful country in the world. The Super Bowl. Not sporting event. Not just entertainment event. It's the number one event in the United States of America, which is covered around the world. There's nothing bigger in this country than the Super Bowl. Is there anything bigger worldwide?
I wouldn't know. I don't travel a lot, but
People would say World Cup, but it's not every year.
Yeah, that's
can't say Olympics, not every year.
I was thinking World Cup or
this is every year. There'll be X amount of more people. How sad is this? More people watch the Super Bowl than vote for the president of the United States by a lot. Even though the last election had a lot of voters, but normally blows it away.
The other thing I was thinking too,
a good percentage of all human beings in the United States of America will, at some point, a good percentage will somehow see something about the Super Bowl on Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, it could be that commercials, it could be anything.
Well, it's just
halftime show.
It's on in every restaurant. It's on in every bar. Any business that has a television has it on. It is and by the way, Raiders are hosting that. But you tell me how Oakland won by not having the NBA where the finals would have been and not having the NFL. Tell me how you won. Tell me how your businesses won, your taxpayers won. Tell me how you won. Alameda County, tell me how you won. Tell me how you win with MLB leaving. Tell me. What's the prize? What's the big prize? I haven't heard of it yet. I'm still waiting to hear what that prize is. I mean, all this basically shows you how insignificant this season is. These decisions set up this franchise for the rest of our lifetimes. After I'm dead, I don't know and I don't care. Unless you're naming something after me.
You think it's going to be the new ballpark if it happens? Chris Townsend Way?
No, I don't think I'll get that. Keep it coming.
The corner of Ray Fosse Boulevard?
I don't think I'm getting that.
Well, there won't be a statue. Maybe we can name the Ace Cast booth after you.
Are we getting a booth?
That's for if this we find out new ballpark's happening. First thing we both email Dave Kaval.
I don't care what the field looks like.
First request.
I don't care. Gondola parking. I don't care. I don't care how the wind blows. I don't care about the clubhouses. I don't care about the suites. Just the first question. What's the A's cast? Where are we? Where's our booth?
Yeah. And don't put us in a bunker like KMBR's.
No, that bunker, KMBR's bunker at what do they call it now?
Oracle Park.
SBC Global. What's their name now?
Pac Bell.
It's a dump. I broadcasted from there because I was, opened that stadium. You know, I was the first broadcaster to broadcast out of that stadium on opening day.
I think I've heard you tell that story.
Yeah. No, I don't want a bunker. I want studio that's TV/radio/streaming.
I want it to be.
Who's the press box going to be named after?
Good question.
I mean, you got a handful of candidates.
Yeah.
I mean, Monty Moore's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Bill King's a pretty big deal.
Well, Bill King has a broadcast booth.
Yeah, but things change when you go from ballpark to ballpark.
Could be the Ray Fosse TV booth.
All right. What about the radio? Could it be the Bill King press box? Well, he's a broadcaster, so they don't normally name the press box after broadcasters, right?
Yeah, no. So it'd have to be.
Because I was saying it could be the Bill King press box and the Ken Korak play-by-play booth.
It could be the Ray Fosse press box. Didn't Ray do PR for a while?
Yeah. I like the Ray Fosse TV booth. I like the Ray Fosse press box. How do you get Monty Moore in there? How do you get Bill King in there? And let's face it, if we're talking 2027, I mean, Ken Korak will be doing games, but he won't be doing. It'll be time to name something after Korak.
Ken Korak.
I'm hopefully going to be almost retired by 2027.
I mean, that's 5 years from now.
Yeah. Do you think I'm going to be that guy?
I don't know. I want to be 40 in 5 years.
You keep pushing this thing out, you're not getting into my retirement.
Trying to think of what else we can. So how would it be? Would it be TV, radio, A's Cast?
Or
do we go in the middle of both?
Will there be terrestrial radio in 2027, 2028? What will radio even look like?
The way we're trending, it might not be.
If you guys don't know it, AM radio is they're making cars without AM radio. And FM radio is not doing so hot. In 5 years, what's radio going to be? How many teams won't even be on radio in 5 years? I mean, there's a bunch of I don't think a lot of our fans know this. There's a bunch of hockey teams that don't have radio stations anymore. They're doing what we do. They just go, I don't need a radio station.
I know the Sharks do it.
Yeah, Sharks got rid of 98.5. They said, bye-bye. Don't need to deal with you anymore.
I only know that because I helped them get it on the air. But I also know that the Ducks are going to start streaming because our old coworker runs the Ducks broadcasting. The LA Kings are streaming, I believe. The Capitals stream. Now, the Penguins don't, Pittsburgh, but they might eventually, but hockey's big there. But hockey's starting to do it more because they know that's what the future is. And baseball we're doing it. You know, I've talked to a few teams in the past couple of years that have wanted to do it, but no one else has done it but us. So,
well, you mentioned in the playbook here today that Rob Manfred, the commish, talked while being in New York. It was over at the Mets game, and the title was brutal. Did you ever read the whole thing?
For as much as I could, I went for the main stuff.
Yeah, because they tried to do this long, and the title was basically, the commissioner doesn't hate baseball, and he wants to save it. Yeah,
yes.
It's ridiculous. But baseball fans are the oldest median age at 57.
Yeah, that's
up from 52 a generation ago. So that's why we need to get everything onto here, because that's where you younger people who are watching this is where you live. For God's sakes, today I had a conversation with the great Steve Vucinich. You ever heard of him?
Over video, or is it?
No, we actually talked on cell phones.
Oh, so if you did over video, then you guys, Vuce has moved into a whole new world.
So he's been listening to A's Cast while he's been working out and rehabbing from the heart attack. And he loves it. Now, Vuce wasn't listening to A's Cast when he worked for the A's, right? We have employees that don't even know. But at some point, we're going to force everybody, like, this is where you're going to get everything. Remember, we started just audio. Now we're doing video. This is the future. That's just why Apple TV is paying so much to have baseball games and Peacock and YouTube. At some point, you're going to be watching all A's games. Let's just call it YouTube. We all have our own YouTube channels. Every team has it, and YouTube's free. I mean, I don't know how it's going to work. Obviously, Google owns YouTube. Google could go, where's the checkbook? How much do you guys need?
Yeah, it's true.
How much you guys need?
Google's not worried about the money.
What if Amazon got it? What if Amazon went to baseball and said, okay, we want to air all the games? And Manfred went, well, how many games and which teams? And Amazon goes, how many teams you got? You got 30? Okay. We want to air every one of them.
Okay, good. I'm glad you saved that there. I thought you were going to go, well, we want to air. Well, we can't. Yankees are on yes.
Oh, no. We're going to buy that contract out.
Wow.
We're Amazon.
Great. More Yankees coverage.
We're Amazon. We make more every day than you can even dream of. We can write you any check. I'm Amazon. I can write you any check. Here you go, Major League Baseball. And that's also in this check. This counts the All-Star game, the playoffs, and everything, right? Do you understand how much these companies have?
Look how we're voting for the All-Star games now. Where do you do it at?
Yeah. Stop telling me, oh, but TBS and TNT and Fox and Amazon, Google could come in and go, how much you want? And you could wait out. They could wait out. They got they're delivering packages. They got all the time in the world.
I just ordered some stuff that's coming tomorrow.
Amazon is so huge. I have buddies that work for Amazon. Amazon couldn't keep up with the amount of people ordering stuff online during COVID because they weren't built for that much. That's how much money they made during COVID. They had trouble keeping up because their platform, who they are, their business plan was not to have that many people ordering online. That's how much money they've made.
Yeah. They've been doing quite well since then.
We never knew this many people would. We never saw in our dreams that they would order this much product. We can't keep up. That's how much money Amazon's got. Remember all those years? Bill Gates is the richest man in the world. Remember that?
Then it was Warren Buffett after him.
Buffett was always below him. They would sneak up. Yeah, Bezos just went by him. Then Elon Musk went by him. Are people responding to any of this?
Oh, we're getting some good comments. People are telling you to preach, and there, a few listeners. I'm all into the streaming format.
Yeah, love it.
Eventually, we will talk about what the significance of today is.
It's Elvis has hit 364 for 6 games.
I'm glad to see Elvis is hitting well.
Ramon Laureano is hitting 275, 4 dingers, 12 RBIs in the last 31 games, and had his 4th 2-run home run game. A's have scored 29 runs the last 6 games. So you sit here and preach they don't have offense. That's 29 runs in 6 games. They out-hit the Yankees. Your Yankees.
Well, if we're going to go with the positive, how would I bring in that they have a 6.75 starters ERA over the 4-game losing streak?
I can't win. I try and go positive, and he just sucks me back into the depths of the last place record.
But by the way, before we get to Ryan Rowland-Smith joins us, how would you like to know every morning you woke up on July 1st and you had about $1.2 million in your bank?
Oh, happy Bobby Bonilla Day?
Yeah, we can save it, but that's a big day. There's actually 2 other guys who are getting paid on this day too. One's baseball, one's outside of baseball.
Okay. I look back at this deal, and I think it's the dumbest deal you could have ever done. But there's some people who know the finances of sports teams better than we do, and they might say, in the end, no, it was a pretty good deal. I don't know who to ask.
Well, I always want to say next year we should book Steve Phillips, but I figured he probably gets asked about this so much.
So basically, they owed Bobby Bonilla $5.9 million.
Correct. And
they pushed it back and didn't have to pay him all that money by saying, we will give you $30 million for 25 years.
Yeah.
So in our minds as non-accountants, and there's so much that goes into this, you rather give someone $30 million over 25 years than give them 5.9 straight up.
Yes, that's what he did.
I don't know how that could be. I can't put my head around the Wilpon family saying, well, it's over time. It's still $30 million. Maybe they just didn't have any money. But how you couldn't talk them into $10 million more? 15? You had to give them 30 more?
I'll give the background on this so everyone knows. So Bobby Bonilla every day on July 1st until 2035, but it started in 2011, gets $1.19 million from the Mets. But in 2000, the Mets agreed to buy out the remaining $5.9 million on Bonilla's contract. But instead of doing that, instead of paying him the $5.9 like Townie mentioned, the Mets agreed to make annual payments of nearly $1.2 million for 25 years, starting on July 1st, 2011. And there was an 8% interest rate that was negotiated into that. And if you do the math, that's $30 million over 25 years. So 25 times 1.2. So Bobby Bonilla is going to be out of the game. He's been out of the game since like the early 2000s, essentially. And he's getting all this money until 2035 when I'll be 46 years old.
How old will he be?
He's 58 or 59 now. So he'll be 70s, early 70s. He's not the only one, though. Former Islanders goalie Rick DiPietro, also in New York, is getting paid $1.5 million from the Islanders every day on July 1st until 2029. As a result of the contract he had, the Islanders agreed to pay him $24 million over 16 years. And then Max Scherzer started his thing. Darren Ravel had it. Let me just pull it up.
So Scherzer gets paid today.
starting today, Scherzer, this is from Darren Ravel. This is what Ravel's tweet says. Bobby Bonilla isn't the happiest Mets player today. Max Scherzer is. Although he pitched 5.5 seasons with the Nationals, his salary was deferred. Today, he gets wired his first of 7 $15 million payments. The Mets are paying Scherzer an average of $43.3 million for 3 seasons. $15 million he's going to get every day, it looks like, on July 1st for 7 years from the Nats.
From the
Yeah.
You mean from the Mets?
No, he's getting from the Nats. The Nats deferred his salary when he signed that deal.
Oh, I wasn't even listening. When you
Yeah.
said Bobby Bonilla Day, I thought this was his Mets stuff. Today he gets wired the first of 7.
7 $15 million payments.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And wasn't he the guy that during the work stoppage was complaining?
I believe so.
Wasn't he the main Boris client that was down there complaining?
Yeah, well, he's like the head.
Players are getting, railroaded in this deal.
Ryan's here, by the way.
Let's ask Ryan. Ryan, welcome back to the program. How are you?
I'm good. I appreciate it, fellas. Thanks for having me.
All right, here's the scenario. I owe you $5.9 million. That's a lot of money, right?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Okay. But I'm not going to pay you that money all up right now. I'm just going to pay you $30 million for the next 25 years of your life.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Bobby Bonilla deal. So every year he's getting 1.3 on this day. Who thought in the accounting department of the New York Mets that this was a good idea?
I guess it was a little bit of that short-term thinking, obviously trying to manipulate the payroll a little bit and sweeten the deal, whatever it may be. But hey, listen, it's interesting, man. Like, I've had a couple guys, a good friend of yours, Grant Balfour, who was with the Oakland A's, when he signed his deal, he had deferred money. And I guess there's a little bit of a interest add-on that the Oakland A's would have to add on to that deal. So he actually gets paid just a little bit more if you add a little bit of interest. But then I've played with guys who, no, I need all that money up front. I need that money now. Like, or they don't stagger it. Like another little tactic, I guess, is where you go, say you sign a $40 million deal in 4 years, you take a couple mil the first year and it staggers up. You get more and more. It's backloaded. So once you're free agent deal, you're like, well, last year I was making, whatever it is, like $20 million, even though it was a $40 million deal, if that makes sense. So a couple of little things. But I know you guys are talking about Max Scherzer. I know that the Nationals are still paying him for a long time, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you look at those deals. I just think for Bobby Bonilla, I mean, how great is that in your life, you just know on this date, 1.3 is getting wired to you, and now Max Scherzer for the next 7 years is getting $15 million every year on this date. And it just, when you hear this kind of stuff, and we go back and think about the lockout and how we missed the first part of the season, it's always like when you hear players complain that they're not getting enough, and then you get these stories and you just go, oh, wow. I mean, it's really hard to – and remember, Max Scherzer was one of the biggest guys who was a part of the negotiations, and now he's getting a check today for $15 million from a team he doesn't play for anymore. Mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I haven't thought about the lockout a lot, obviously, because we've been getting a chance to play baseball. But going back to that time, one of the biggest issues that they did not address was they were talking about a salary floor or this tanking, situation. They didn't even touch that. I think from the players' point of view, they wanted to, essentially protect some of these younger players and everything else. But when you go from the outside looking in, look, I'm Australian, right? So I go back to Australia and I try and justify the lockout and why the players are upset, why the teams are upset. People are kind of scratching their head because professional athletes get paid a fraction of that back in Australia. Like, really? Like, are they really talking about delaying a season or not even having a season after you just had COVID? You just had a 60-game season a couple years ago. Your fans are just like checking out left, right, and center. So I think going back to that and looking back in hindsight, it's like, guys, seriously? But on the flip side, from a player's point of view, they just got absolutely, crushed when it comes to front offices manipulating like crazy to have the ability to cut out the 35-year-old plus player to all of a sudden go, oh, you know what's a good business strategy to wave the white flag for 3 to 5 years and rebuild. So, you look at a lot of those things. The whole thing, I haven't thought about the lockout a lot until I joined you guys, but it's, I like to think it's in the rearview mirror. Still frustrated, though, that the guys who are tanking, for real, man, they had to fix that.
By the way, you're welcome. We brought you back. We brought you back to the lockout days. No, I agree with you. I was all in on that. Obviously, you've seen what our we'd be hypocrites if we didn't mention it. I mean, you look at what we're doing. But I was all in for a floor, and I go, listen, I don't know what goes on in these meetings. I understand everybody wants to have the freedom to make what Mike Trout makes, what Juan Soto is now going to make, Mookie Betts. I get all that, but the majority of you will never, ever, ever, ever see that. The majority of you won't even have careers that are 3 years long. And when you look at salary caps, in the other sports, football, basketball, and hockey, they have them. Why? Because it works. And a lot of players who aren't going to have longer careers would actually make more money for themselves if they were in a salary cap. But it's like the big name agents and the big name players, they're controlling everything. And I worry, Ryan, you think about the guys you mentioned 35 plus. We're now acting guys like 33, 32. We got Elvis Andrus. He's 33. People around here are acting like he's about to be in a wheelchair. I'm really worried about all the players in their 30s. How about you?
Well, 100%. And you go back and I understand from a team's point of view. I understand the value in having a 22-year-old, flush roster of young 22-year-olds. I get that. But again, if you value winning and you go back from every team that's gotten all the way to win that World Series, look at some of the X factors. Like, in other words, a lot of these teams, they live off analytics, right? They live off guys who've never played the game, and all of a sudden on paper, this player, that player, whatever numbers, blah, blah, blah. So they all kind of have that. It's like, okay, that's the 60% part of building a good team and a good year. What are those little X factors? And you go back from every year in the last 5 years, go and look at what was the difference. Those veteran players, I'm not trying to sound old school here, but some of those veteran players, when it comes to experience, when it comes to being in that moment before, when it comes to some of the human element, man, there is so much value in that. And I think that this goes back to front offices that don't quite understand what it's like really to be in the trenches with guys, have that chemistry and that flow as the season goes on through 162 games. And so it worries me too. Yes, the game's getting younger. Is it getting better? I don't know. I love these guys, watching these guys who are, a little bit older, who can stay in shape. Obviously, Verlander's kind of proven that, 39 years old. It takes a little extra to be at that level at that age. I get that. I understand that. But at the same time, man, there is so much value in having some of those guys to fill your roster with different intangibles that you can't put down in analytics.
Well, one guy who's done a great job this year, and I'm being told you did a podcast with him today. We like to call him Paulie Winday, Paulie Blackburn, the way he's turned around his career. Promote the podcast, because we love some Paul Blackburn. Let's get some of our fans listening to your podcast.
Yeah, well, first of all, it is co-hosted, not this episode because he's out on a beach in Tampa, Florida, but Grant Balfourage, he is my co-host. He is so good to listen to, and he's getting more and more comfortable diving into some stories. I had Dallas Braden a couple of weeks ago talking about you guys, the situation out in Oakland. He had such a good perspective from a kid who grew up in the Bay Area, and, obviously in Stockton. And so it's really interesting because I do dive into everything that's happening with the Oakland A's. But again, Grant Balfour is co-hosting. But today I got a chance to sit down with Paul Blackburn. Wow, what an amazing, amazing story. I asked him, I said, do you frame this as like a comeback or as a breakout year? And he didn't quite. He's like, man, that's a good question. I don't know. Because he talked about how he kind of got pushed to the side last year and all the things he went through mentally and everything else. And man, you look at him this year. I said to him, I said, dude, you need to be getting national recognition, which is hard when you're a West Coast team, as I know being with the Mariners and you guys know with the Oakland A's. The numbers he's putting up this year are insane. But he dived into it. It was so good, talking about a bunch of different stuff and everything else. So it's called the Top Step Podcast, basically the Top Step of the Dugout. You go to thetopstep.com. You can check it out. A bunch of different episodes from Max Scherzer, who we were just talking about, Liam Hendricks, an ex-athletic, and Dallas Braden. I'm just trying to throw some Oakland A's at you. Paul Blackburn coming up, and everyone in between. Mitch Haniger as well. So bunch of different players on there jumping on.
Yeah, Mitch Haniger, also a Bay Area guy, too, from the South Bay. So definitely. And by the way, I'm going to steal that question from you next time we have Paul Blackburn on. I'm gonna act like I didn't hear this. I'm going to go, hey, I got a question. I'm stealing. I think that's great, because what is this? Is this like a coming out party, or is this like, hey, you should be up for Comeback Player of the Year?
Yeah, it's a tough one, because I had Daniel Bard on the show, and he was the National League Comeback Player of the Year. And that's obviously 7 years he was out of the game, had the yips and the whole thing. But Paul has kind of had that 26th man label to him, I guess, every year in, year out. Now all of a sudden he makes the team out of spring, which he told me it was a huge deal for him. I don't know if people understand that. He was like, man, I was really fighting after getting DFA, to actually be a part of this team. And I made the team, and I was just like celebrating like crazy. And you don't think about it, because look at the numbers he's putting up and everything else. So I don't know if it's a comeback, if you call it a comeback. He's kind of in between. Either way, man, it is super cool to see what he's doing. It's fun to watch.
Well, one guy who I'm already tired of, and he just started his career, and if we're going to have to watch this for a long time, this Julio Rodriguez show has got to stop, because every single time he steps up against the A's, the ball's going out to left, it's going out to right center, he's making plays. I mean, we all kind of laughed Kelnick. It's like, oh, this guy's supposed to be so great. Oh, he's going back to AAA. This Rodriguez kid is the real deal, and it's scary.
Yeah, you mentioned those two guys, and look, I'm sure Jared Kelnick will come back and be a big leaguer and put up some good numbers, but Julio Rodriguez and people back when I got done playing, and before I jumped on with the Mariners and did some stuff, but people said, oh, would you be interested in scouting? And international scouting is specifically, obviously, because I'm Australian. And I was like, I wouldn't make a good scout, because it doesn't matter how good the player is. I always look at the flaws, or look at the glass half empty. So when I look at Julio Rodriguez, he's that one guy when I'm watching, there is none. And I'm sorry to say it, but he is just on another level. Jared Kelnick, when he was called up last year, everyone was banging the drum. It was insane. Like, they were comparing it to Felix Hernandez, Ken Griffey Jr. even. I'm like, man, all right.
Slow down.
Yeah, exactly. And there was flaws there. Like, when you're watching him play, like even the spring training, there was a couple of these things you look at that are, but Julio Rodriguez, man, he just takes pride in the athleticism, in the speed, in the being a center fielder, not just being pigeonholed to a left fielder. All these little things that from a young player you look at, go, man, that's exciting. And then you put the exit ball on the end of that. Now he's starting to lift the ball, get that launch angle where the balls are starting to get in the air a little bit more. It's scary, man. He is, I got to say, he is the real deal for sure.
Yeah, and I know we always joke, Moneyball, when Billy Beane says, I don't care how the guy looks. We're not selling jeans here. But like yesterday when he hit the home run and he's rounding first base and he's pointing out to center field and he's got that big smile and he's a good-looking young kid, you go, yep, he's got star written all over him.
Yeah, he absorbs that role, if that makes sense. Like, he absorbs all that attention. I think and I keep comparing Jared Kelnick, it's kind of easy to do that. I think, Jared Kelnick's fighting air half the time. You know what I mean? Like, he's trying to deflect everything, and he's fighting. He's got I think with Julio Rodriguez, I think he really just takes on that kind of attention in a good way. And on the flip side too, man, like the opening day here, I go up and sort of do the rounds and reintroduce myself to some of the players and stuff. And if you're part of the media or whatever, I get it as a player. I'm like, just leave me alone half the time.
Yeah.
I'm going around and shaking hands, saying hi, just trying to tiptoe. I walk up to him, Julio, how you doing, man? Ryan, I don't know what the kid's like for real. He's like, hey, what's going on, man? Good to see you. But he just kind of has that thing about him where he is present. And I think that with taking on all the expectations and the physical tools and how just free and easy he moves as an athlete, then you put on that extra velo, 110 plus, man, at a frequent rate. It's scary. It really is. He's going to be really good.
You know, when you look at the Mariners right now and – 37-41, 12 and a half games back. I just don't see whether it's Texas or the Angels catching the Houston Astros. But I think if you're these teams, you could say, well, I know everybody in the East is playing well, but if I'm the Mariners, I'm still in the wild card race, and it's July 1st. I mean, everybody in the East is playing like you know what. They have just been a division that's hell on wheels. What chance July 1st, only 4.5 back for the wild card, do you give the Mariners?
I don't think because I'm talking to you guys. If I was talking to someone in Seattle, I'd be like, no, they're still good to go. They're going to go to the playoffs. But I think because I'm talking to you guys, I can speak a little differently. I'll be honest with you, man. Like the month of May was a real letdown. Was a real bummer. It really was. April, they were sort of like, okay, it's early. May rolled around, and all of a sudden the depth issue showed up. For you guys last year, for example, when you guys were running for a playoff spot, and then you fell off at the end, but the years prior to that, even the times when Grant Balfour was with you guys, and there was always that constant, running for that playoff spot, there was just that depth. There was that extra player off the bench. There was that guy hitting 8th in the lineup. There was that guy in the bullpen who kind of like, who glued the starter to the closer. The Mariners haven't had that extra dude, that little piece of depth, I think, that they needed. And this goes back to spring training. So that worries me a little bit. They're on a little bit better run right now. They're starting to hit a little bit in the middle of the lineup. Jesse Winker, I still don't quite know what to make of him, to be honest. Like, where's that extra 20 feet of ball, the extra 20 feet of flight on the ball? He just hasn't set, maybe because he's playing in Cincinnati last year. But when you watch him right now, in the last couple of weeks, they've looked a lot better. But man, it's going to be. You mentioned some of those teams are up against for that, even that wild card. It's going to be. They better get on a tear quick, I think.
Well, before we let you go, this just popped up, and we were talking about earlier how just everything's changing. We're seeing, I know you follow American sports. When USC and UCLA are now joining the Big Ten, up there in the Pacific Northwest, the Live Tour is playing, competing against the PGA Tour. So many different things are changing, and you just think about baseball. Would you come in like 2007 or 6, right around there?
2007, first year in the big leagues, yeah.
All right. If I would have said in 2007, I would have said, hey, by the way, Apple, which I don't even know if you really knew much about Apple, you're going to be playing on Apple TV. It just came up right here on my phone. Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout, Jose Altuve, Kyle Tucker, and Angels and the Astros clash, Friday Night Baseball, Apple TV. It's like, isn't it amazing how fast we consume our sport and how fast it's changing?
Yeah, it's insane. You can go down all kinds of different rabbit holes with what's happening, from our attention span. Like everyone's attention spans are so much shorter. People want, like with the Apple TV, the Apple games, I've seen quite a few of them, and they're really trying to, go in different directions. And I think for me, I don't know for you guys, but man, I just want to watch baseball. Like, what I'm saying? Like, I know the game well enough. I don't have to be like wowed with all these extra little, content on the side of things to throw at me to make things different. But, it's nuts, man. I don't even think, like, I was talking to Dallas Braden about this too. You've got the way a game, the audio soundtrack of a game, you got the play-by-play guy and the color analyst. I feel like you go back, you mentioned 2007 to now, I think you go another 10 years from now, and it's going to be completely different, I think. And you've seen like little, snippets of that with the NFL. Now they've got two dudes sitting on the couch and having people come in. The way you take on how you listen to people break the game down, I think it's going to be completely different. I really do. And whether that's a good thing or bad thing, I don't know. But I think there's going to be like, now you're going to have like, I hope not. I'm just, going put my hat, my crystal ball out here for a second. But Are you going to have like a panel of 6 dudes sitting around and breaking down something or during the game? I don't know, whatever it may be. Or you may have 6 different ways to listen to, 6 different options to listen to who's, being the Dallas Braden and, that you play-by-play guy, whatever it may be. It's one of these things, man. It's crazy how fast it changes and how you have to now all of a sudden abide to people's attention spans because people can't sit down for 3 hours and just watch a friggin' baseball game. It's just so different now,
Well, let's end on this. Because of Balfour, because of Liam, you're proud. You should be proud. We've got all kinds of Australians and people in New Zealand who take in A's baseball. We have a fan who calls in to the show named Lucas, who's going to be here, I think, in 3 weeks. We're totally setting him up.
Wow.
But when he always calls, like he called last night, and you're like, well, it's already Saturday there. And so we have Australians who are all into A's baseball, and whenever they come to Oakland, we take care. We're taking care of your people here in the Bay Area.
No, trust me, you've had some good ones, man. You've had some good eggs, man. Balfour, obviously, Liam Hendricks. You've had, just a cup of coffees too. I think Rich Thompson was there for just a second. I think Luke Hughes was another one who was there for just a second as well. But when you've got 2 guys like Liam Hendricks and Grant Balfour, who, by the way, back in Australia in the baseball community, everyone loves them. Like, they should just build a bronze statue at the airport. I'm joking, but for both those guys, you do see the kids having the following still, even though Liam's left especially, but you still see the Oakland A's gear everywhere, the hats, the jerseys, or whatever it may be. But, definitely. Everyone knows everything about the Oakland A's back home. That is for sure.
Promote your podcast one more time.
Oh, for sure. It's called The Top Step with Ryan Rowland-Smith, Grant Balfour. We have current players, former players, all different walks of life. We have an Aussie segment. We have the Australian word of the day. You can learn something, get educated about Australian culture for sure. We have a good laugh, but that's a lot of fun, man. I just love having conversations with these players and diving into whether it's how do you prep for the Paul Blackburn tomorrow, how are you prepping for the Mariners too. Take me back to that time when you got DFA'd or your off season or whatever it may be. I love it, man. It's a blast. So if you go to the top www.thetopstep.com, go there, check out all the episodes and enjoy. Yeah.
For God's sake, Grant Balfour, you know how much everybody in our fan base loves him. So we'll keep promoting it. Thank you for coming on. We always appreciate it. And let's do this again soon.
Let's do it, guys. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Appreciate it, guys.
Mariners pre and post. He's good.
I had the banner.
Balfour Rage.
I had the banner rolling down there, or the ticker telling people how to listen to his podcast. Because actually last night I was texting with him like, hey, are you cool doing it over video with us? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. And he goes, what streaming thing do you guys use? And I said, we use StreamYard. And I had a whole conversation for an hour with him about how StreamYard works and how our video streaming works. So like, he's like all on board. He wants to sign up for it for the podcast he's doing. He sent me a video he did with Taylor Trammell the other day.
Did you tell him how well StreamYard was working today when you were panicking?
It was more the camera, but it's good now.
Just, a lot of people may not know how much you were panicking earlier today before the show.
But all I know is I heard these little words whispered to me. And
you want to just gloss right over that?
No. All I thought of the entire time was whenever the camera was working, I just heard thinking of you saying,
just make it happen. Just make it happen.
Apparently it's a t-shirt now.
Yeah. Just make it happen. It's our slogan. Just make it happen. Stop giving me all the details. Stop. Doesn't that just drive you nuts in this world? When people got to go on and on and on and why this, why, just do it. Just make it happen. Maybe that's just me, and I've been saying that my entire life, but it's kind of how I handle business. Cody will sit here and moan and complain. Just make it happen. Do I? You've worked with me now for years. Do I go on and on and on about stuff? Just make it happen. Do I?
No.
Have I ever?
Not that I know of.
It's not what just get us on the air. Just I don't need to know the details. I don't need to. What is about being pregnant? I don't need to know how the bread got put in the oven or something like that.
My wife would know that saying probably.
Yeah, I don't need to know. I don't care. I just make it happen. It's like my brother in business. It's like he just wants to just make money. I mean, just make it happen. Is it that tough? Just make it happen. God.
But
drives me nuts.
You're not going to promote that you have a T-shirt now?
I do have a T-shirt now. Is it? But is it fully about me?
I heard it was.
Last Dive Bar.
This
normally I wear Last Dive Bar. This I don't even know where we got this. Where did we get this? Is this Last Dive Bar?
No, that was we got that from the organization. They give all.
Is this an actual A's thing?
Yeah.
I've got so much I don't even know where I got. I've been pulling out some oldies but goodies. How about when I pulled out the
Tokyo shirt?
Tokyo shirt. If you weren't on the traveling party to Tokyo in 2019, you don't have that shirt, probably.
No. My shirt, which no one can really see, it has all the neighborhoods in Oakland on it.
That is because it's the A's.
I bought it at the team store.
Yeah, that's licensed product. We have licensed product on today.
But
we'll get back to our Last Dive Bar product. Great sponsor, lastdivebar.com. Right field Will's getting a shirt.
Oh, he has a whole line. Brian sent it to me from the last.
He's got a whole line. I guess I have a shirt. I know he sent me. I didn't know if he was joking or not. So if you go to Last Dive Bar, you can get Just Make It Happen.
Yeah.
I want to see those all over the Coliseum.
It's on Twitter too, but yeah, he said
Just Make It Happen.
Yeah. There's their tweet. I'll tell you the Twitter to go to. Go to @LastDiveBar and you'll see the GIF of right field Will and his line of A's gear. See the GIF of his head and his hat changing.
That's how bad the season is. We're now promoting right field Will. And a whole just line, make it happen. And a whole line of clothing for right field Will.
And you got a T-shirt. I mean, come on.
When right field Will is getting promoted, that's when you know you've dropped 26 of your last 32, dating back to May 26th. Easily the worst record in the majors in that span. When you go through a run of losing 26 of 32, that's when right field Will starts getting mentioned.
Can I read this?
No offense.
Can I read this text to you real quick? For what it's worth, my family is from Oakland, dating back to 1870. My four-time great-grandparents live there. My great-grandparents live there. My grandparents live there. I spent my whole life in the town. But yeah, I don't live there. That's the great Casey Pratt texting me.
Who cares? You want to go my family in Massachusetts? We came over after the Mayflower. You want to talk about how long my family's been in Massachusetts? Fought in every single war, Casey Pratt, to make it for your family in Oakland?
I tried to get him to come on to defend
Casey
himself.
Pratt, you wouldn't even have family in Oakland if it wasn't for my family in Massachusetts. We started this country. Then why don't you what Casey Pratt, do you live in Oakland?
He said no.
Yeah, thank you. Who in Oakland is taking up the flag and is making this happen? Why are we?
I was letting Casey know that we read his text. I want to see what he has to say back.
Yeah.
He was like, when are you going to have me on? I'm like, you want to come on and defend yourself? He's like, I'm getting ready for my commute. He tuned in to see Kaval, so he saw that he heard you after.
Oh, he just tunes in because of Kaval. I got to sit there and watch them suck up to the Warriors every 2 seconds, and then he can't partake in this program. I mean, they act like nothing's happening in this world but the Warriors. If you watch that channel,
Casey's response was, "You're the best."
Oh God, we have not taken a break yet.
Yeah, we probably should.
An hour and a half. Do they do that on Channel 7, Casey Pratt, an hour and a half of commercial-free content? Can you go an hour and a half without talking Warriors?
Kevon Looney's back 3 years, $25 million.
Ooh, special tonight.
Get Kerry Keating on the plane.
Oh, bring Kerry Keating back from North Carolina. Where's the Donald Foyle? We're talking about Kevon Looney for 4 hours. You're listening to A's Cast Live.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak here, and my friends at Last Dive Bar are helping us celebrate our longtime home. Last Dive Bar has the most unique merchandise for all Oakland baseball fans. T-shirts, sweatshirts, the Ray Fosse line, and my personal favorite, the lights have taken full effect. Visit their website at lastdivebar.com or follow them on social media at Last Dive Bar. All proceeds are invested back into the A's Community Fund and their affiliated charities. Go to lastdivebar.com. That's lastdivebar.com.
some things just go together. Peanut butter and jelly, cookies and milk, Oakland and Kaiser Permanente. If that last one caught you off guard, it shouldn't, because Kaiser Permanente has been helping keep Oakland healthy since our very beginning. And as the official healthcare partner of the Oakland A's, that won't be changing anytime soon. Whatever you may need, you can trust Kaiser Permanente to help keep you feeling your best. Kaiser Permanente. Thrive. Visit kp.org today.
Coming in at 5'3", it's number one mom. She switched to Xfinity and got the all-new 3-for-1 bundle. Unlimited internet, streaming, and Xfinity Mobile. All for what you could pay wireless companies for just one 5G unlimited line. Boom shakalaka. Go to Xfinity.com/3-for-1, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store today. Limited time offer, restrictions apply. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay Xfinity internet. After 24 months, regular rates apply to all services and devices.
This is Chris Townsend for the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. Great news! Our indoor dining is back, along with our beautiful patio dining. Come taste our world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 83 years. The Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek has one of the most dynamic menus, plus a full bar. Pot pies, gourmet burgers, sandwiches, salads, flatbreads, and more. Don't forget, we still do takeout and delivery. For all the information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Humanity has accomplished a whole lot so far. We created penicillin, the automobile, and the internet, not to mention drones, duct tape, and the hot dog. It's all thanks to the power of human connections. And RingCentral's here to make that even easier, more seamlessly and securely, on a platform built to grow your business. Say hello to a whole new way to say hello. Visit ringcentral.com and say hello to possibilities. RingCentral. Message, video, phone, together.
Unlock offers and receive exclusive in-game features by downloading the MLB Ballpark app for iPhone and Android today. Plus, get the latest information on game times, schedules, and more.
Hey Ace fans, we've got a great deal for you. Get 4 tickets and parking for all Friday night games starting at just $39. Pick from great matchups, post-game fireworks and drone shows, giveaways, and more.
Outside corner, ring him up. And Eaton can't believe it.
Grab the crew and head to the Coliseum with friends and family any Friday night this season. 4 tickets and parking starting at just $39 for the whole group. Tickets are available at athletics.com. That's athletics.com.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is a national brand with family-owned prices and service. You can shop at one of their Barrie locations, and all stores are sanitized and safe, or you can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and Gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you'll get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
Innovation is at the heart of Cal State East Bay, like at our Green Biome Institute, where faculty and students map genes from California's endangered plants, or how we open doors for local entrepreneurs at our Small Business Development Center. From educators to nurses to STEM professionals, Cal State East Bay has real impact throughout the region's neighborhoods, boardrooms, and entire economy. Be part of the innovation. Connect with Cal State East Bay at csueastbay.edu/impact.
Red, white, blue, and baseball too. You won't want to miss 4th of July fireworks after the A's game on July 4th.
And the pitch is swung on, hit the right field, hit deep. Whitefield going back at the track, over his head, and over the wall. Do you believe that?
Come see your A's take on the Toronto Blue Jays, then head down to the field to watch the post-game fireworks show. Tickets start at just $15. Find your seats at athletics.com. Don't miss the A's July 4th post-game fireworks show presented by 7-Up.
A's Cast Live continues from the town. Here's Chris Townsend.
I just put on the wrong headphones. These are the A's Total Access A's Clubhouse Show headphones. We're dealing with a lot of equipment in the studio, by the way.
There is.
We have more equipment than most. And I don't know if that's the makeup for the talent, lack of talent, or what it is, but
we should ask, since the people are with our fans that are listening and watching, comment on the YouTube page or send us a tweet at AthleticsCast24. Do you prefer the 2-shot or the 1-shot camera sequence? I don't know. I'm throwing it out there.
Why don't you put it on a poll on Twitter?
Well, I told people to. I mean, I could.
Yeah. Inquiring minds want to know.
But we have a new hat to promote for.
That's what I'm sitting here waiting for.
Oh, I'm good. I have the read right here. So celebrate African American Heritage Day at the ballpark on July 9th as we proudly honor and appreciate the important contributions that the African American community has made to our team, community, and the game of baseball. Fans can snag a commemorative African American Heritage Day hat presented by Cal State East Bay as we take on the Houston Astros. Tickets are available at athletics.com/tickets. That's athletics.com/tickets. That's July 9th, so that's next Saturday against the Houston Astros. Athletics.com/tickets. And thank you to our sponsor, Cal State East Bay, for being the sponsor of the hat for African American Heritage Day. The underbills that we do on these hats are phenomenal.
Oh, whoever the company is, it's a game changer. It literally, I think I still have I still have it. Hold on. I mean, look at these things. Look at the detail. We never had this in our when we gave away hats. This was the Stop Asian hat right here. Stop Asian hate hat.
And then,
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I have the Pride Night hat at home.
I mean, look at these underbills. I mean, seriously, for giveaways? I used to always joke that you look at the hats, right? And the old school hats are like, you'd get them and you wear them home and you'd wear it to school or whatever. And within a day, they were trashed.
Oh, yeah.
They're falling apart. These are seriously well-made hats. It's impressive. It's very, very impressive. There you go.
Oh, thank you.
You know, this season is, and I'm going to wait for this question because we're playing the Mark Kotsay show here. You want to do it now? When do you want to do it?
Well, we're on until 6, so whenever you're ready.
Probably the most important thing for this season right now is about his development. Outside of ballpark. What, if you had to rank and you had to say, okay, what needs to be accomplished? The number one thing that needs to be accomplished this season. What's the biggest benefit? Is it a certain player? Yeah, you can make that case. But one player is not turning this whole thing around.
Correct.
Right? And there may not be one player, even in the young guys, Allen, Pache, you name it, that's not turning this thing around. Could it be, I don't know, I might be overselling this. Could it be the development of Mark Kotsay as a manager? Because if you don't think the manager is important, if you don't think the guy that sits at the front of the plane and the front of the bus is not a big deal, you're kidding yourself. That theory by front offices, thinking that it's all about the data is the only thing that matters, has failed over and over again. Somebody has to manage the egos. Somebody has to get all these guys on the same page. Someone's got to get these guys to play smart baseball. Somebody's got to be able to kick somebody in the butt when they need to be kicked in the butt. It's just not all data. It's just not all the data. And I'm going to keep challenging people on doing stuff that's more consistent. Because we have a lot of inconsistencies going. And I'll hear people say, well, that used to happen, with Melvin. There was a lot of inconsistencies with the lineup. And I kind of off the air had a conversation about that with Mark Kotsay today. And it's like, well, I'll be honest, I didn't love that. So what's consistent? Inconsistent lineups under Melvin or Kotsay.
Yeah.
Right? kind of like you don't know day to day who's playing, who's coming to the yard.
Like you mentioned before, the only
and by the way, any sports psychologist will tell you consistency works. It's good for players, especially players who aren't great players. King Griffey Jr. can show up and not know who he's playing against, not knowing who's pitching. It doesn't matter because he's so God-gifted. But guys that don't have that, consistency is a better thing for them to win and be good players. There's not a sports psychologist that would say chaos and not knowing is better than knowing and consistency.
Yeah, and I think that I was going somewhere with. Oh, you mentioned the lineup. The only guy under Bob Melvin in the last few years you could ride in the lineup in the same spot every day, as you mentioned before, was Marcus Semien.
And by the way, that wasn't originally the plan.
No.
You didn't know Marcus Semien could be that guy until you gave him the chance to do it, right? Remember when Marcus Semien, his first year, not his first year, but whatever year, he had like 25 bombs.
That would have been like 2017 or 18.
He hit all over the place. Marcus Semien did not become a everyday he's leading off guy until you gave him the opportunity and you stuck with it. You didn't go lead off, hit 8th, hit 6th, lead off, hit 9th, hit. No, Marcus Semien is now a leadoff hitter because they finally gave him an opportunity and said, we're going to do it. Let's see how it works. He got consistency. And next thing you know, he's a leadoff hitter who got a $175 million contract, who has finished third in the MVP balloting. But when he first started with the A's, they didn't do it. What year was that?
The year he hit 27 homers was 2016.
Yeah. 2015, he was hit all over the lineup. Remember Jed Lowry finally, Bob just said, all right, Jed's hitting third. And Jed had monster years. Jed's hitting third. Consistency somewhere in the lineup helps. Consistency helps with the bullpen. When guys know roles and the guys that, it helps. It works.
Well, I didn't know this. Marcus played in every game last year.
He's played in every game every year.
2020 played in 53 of the 60. But yeah, that's 2 out of 3 years. The last 2 full seasons he's played, and he played in 159 the year before. Consistency, right?
Consistency.
He's durable.
It works. That's why when you NBA folk, that's why they like to have the consistent rotations by playoff time.
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed when you're watching your favorite NBA team that when they get close to the playoffs and into the playoffs, not everybody plays anymore? You start developing your routine of who's going to play, how they're going to play. It's consistency. NFL, you have your consistent rotation of running backs, wide receivers, who's the quarterback. Guess what? Whoever the quarterback's comfortable with, those are the guys who play because they're consistent with each other. Consistency in professional sports works. Line changes in hockey. All of a sudden you get into the playoffs and it starts working. Are you now changing it every game?
No.
Wait a minute. So you're telling me.
It's called chemistry with hockey.
Are you telling me that if I get into hockey and I'm winning, that I'm going to stay with the same line changes?
Yes.
You're not changing it every game?
The guys build chemistry on the same line.
Wow. Well, that's what the A's do year after year in the playoff years. Did anybody think that the A's were great, consistent hitters in the playoffs? Were the lineups were consistently good in the playoffs?
No. They couldn't hit. They were either home run or strikeout or walk, the 3-2 outcome.
That was consistent.
That's true. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, your 3-2 outcomes were sure consistent. And when you hit home runs, you won. When you didn't home runs, early exit, bye-bye. You won one playoff series. Even though you did hit home runs at Dodger Stadium.
That's true. Well,
but
so did the Astros.
I don't think that really counted.
Yeah, the Astros hit a lot of home runs too.
I think there was something called the baseball.
Yeah, that's a big deal. We're still trying to figure it out years later.
Yeah, it was like a bouncy ball. It didn't work. All righty, did you have the sponsor and everything in there?
Yeah, that's all.
It's time now for the Mark Kotsay Show. It's Friday right here on A's Cast Live. It's time now for the Mark Kotsay Show, brought to you by Nest Bedding. Check out their locations in the Bay Area, or you go online to nestbedding.com. Love where you sleep. They got fantastic mattresses, sheets, pillows, all your bedding needs. Check out their stores in the Bay Area, or you go to nestbedding.com. Use the coupon code Oakland to get 10% off your entire order. Mark, how are you today up in the Pacific Northwest?
I'm doing well. You can refer to this as the Starbucks land, but having some coffee and excited about talking to you.
Yeah, you're never going to be in a situation where you can't find coffee at any time of the day.
That's true. We're starting off our morning here. It's a beautiful day in Seattle, and night game to follow, and another opportunity to go out and try to win a game.
I know for you, when you're able to see some family, and I know for players too, depending where you are in the country, just how important is it for you to tell guys, get out of the hotel room, see a little bit of the city, see friends, see people. These long road trips can be brutal. How important is that to live a life other than just doing ballpark hotel?
Yeah, you definitely can get stuck in the rut of, ballpark to hotel room and, not end up leaving the hotel before you turn around and go back to the ballpark for the next day. So it is important to get out. It's important to take in some sights, try to go, if you do have family in town, visit with them, spend some time, with people that you care about, and that can include taking a teammate to lunch. Yesterday, we had a little bit of a later arrival to the field, and the text message out to the guys was take a teammate to lunch. That's important. The bonding that we have doesn't only take place in the clubhouse, but it does take place off the field, building those relationships, and we value that as well.
Yeah, and it shows on the field, because no matter what the record is what it is. But I think a big key for you, something that you've stressed ever since spring training, was we're going to fight, and we're going to fight every day. And I think you still have to be very proud of the fight you're getting from your players.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no quitting these guys, and we've had those discussions, and they still play with energy, and it's important that they extract as much fun out of this game as they can. It's not a rewarding game by any measure. It's a game of failure, and the best players in this league, they fail 70% of the time at the plate. So you can see the guys, the bond that they have, the fight that they have. Whether it's Ramon Laureano expressing his emotion in the dugout and going out and competing, and to just the end of our games and the battle that they continue to put up, and they continue to try to get guys up to the plate to win games, and so the effort level's there. The wins and losses haven't been reflective of that, but you know what, we're going to go compete, and we're going to compete till the end of the season that way.
We're starting to now really see the entire game of Nick Allen and his ability to hit, his ability to run. He's starting to throw down bunts. It's this all around type of player. Glove, defense, an arm for his size. I know you've worked a lot with him because both of you guys live in San Diego, and so you've known Nick for a long time. Would you say now that he's getting comfortable, we're now starting to see the full package?
Yeah, I think that's accurate, Tony. I think, it's difficult for any young player to come to the major leagues and have immediate impact and feel comfortable and have immediate success. And we've seen that with some of our younger guys this year. You refer to Nick Allen, and this is his second time or third time back up with us. He does look a little bit more relaxed. He does look a little bit more like he belongs. And I think that's reflective of the performance. We've seen him make some nice plays at shortstop, at second base. Yesterday in a game where he dropped down to drag bunt. We've talked to Nick, and we're going to continue to talk to him about what he has to do to be successful at this level. And really, it's dominating the fundamentals and utilizing every facet that he can to perform offensively as well as defensively.
You use the word comfortable. And you just wonder, like, when a player comes up, you go from the minor leagues to the big leagues, which is so different. It's just like, this isn't like football or basketball where you could be playing football in the SEC and you go to the NFL and it's not really that big a difference. Or same thing with a big time college basketball program to the NBA. But going from amateur baseball, then minor league baseball to the big leagues is a complete 180. When do you think you see a young player start to get comfortable? What are like the attributes that you go, okay, this kid's starting to get it?
Yeah, I think, when you start to feel comfortable at the major league level, I think you start to take on maybe a small portion of a leadership role. And you can see guys on the field, whether they're, defensively taking charge when they start to really feel comfortable. You see them at the plate, controlling the at-bat as opposed to just taking the at-bat. So, it takes time. There's no question. And obviously, success has something to do with the comfortability as well. And when you're performing well, you seem to, accelerate that process of feeling like you belong and feeling like you can be here and play every day at this level and be successful. So, for our young guys, it's definitely noticeable. And Nick is doing a great job at trying to get his feet on the ground and feeling that sense of comfortability for sure.
Christian Pache has so much talent. We know that. And hopefully he is going to be a massive part of the future here for the Oakland Athletics. You sent him back down. I mean, obviously you gave him a ton of at-bats, a ton of opportunity, which will be good for him long-term. I also think it now is good for him to go down to Las Vegas and get some confidence back, get some wins down there, have some big games before you bring him back up. What did you say to Christian when you guys were sending him down?
Well, the biggest thing for Christian, I think, is that when he does go back down to Vegas, that he continues the work ethic that we saw here. All of us, from our strength coach to our hitting coaches to our outfield coach, we all talk to him. He's one of the hardest workers on our club, and he really cares. And you know that about him, the way he plays with a passion and emotion. We've seen that this year. And, for Christian, as you talk about, we gave him an extended look, an extended opportunity. And, we've seen flashes. We saw incremental improvement in the right direction, even over the last 2 weeks before we sent him down yesterday. The trends are in the right direction. It's just now going out and, as you talked about, Townie, building that confidence, solidifying the approach, and having success. And, when he goes to Vegas, he's not going to look up on the scoreboard and see the batting average. It's a new start for him, it's a fresh start, and a place where we feel confident that he's going to go and have that success to get back to this team.
Man, you can't say it enough how brutal that is. You people just don't understand. You don't get out to a good start. And as you said, your numbers are everywhere when you go to the plate. They're on the scoreboards. They're on the ribbons around the stadium. Everywhere says you're average, says you're struggling. And then it's like you're pressing and you want to try and get it all back in one at-bat in one game. And that's just not a reality. And it's easy to tell people not to press, but like they say, easier said than done.
Yeah, no question. We're here. Our expectation level is to be the best. And, when that doesn't happen, it doesn't take place, you continue to grind, but you definitely feel the pressure of the lack of performance. And you can't hide that, as you talk about. It's every day. We play this game, 162 days in less than 100, I think, total 185. And so it's nonstop. You've got to turn the page, learn how to turn the page, and that can take time as a young player to know that, today's a new day and a new opportunity to come to the ballpark and just focus on that one at bat as opposed to those four at bats that you're going to get that night that could impact, your batting average or obviously the team's success. So it's a grind, and it is a learning experience for these younger guys that are going through it right now.
What would it mean for your lineup on an everyday basis if Ramon Laureano does start to get hot and Stephen Piscotty can stay healthy and these two can be a mainstay in the middle of the order? What would that mean for it?
Yeah, I mean, for Ramon last night, coming off a great game, a 2-homer game that both balls went out to the opposite field. So, that's Ramon at his best. And, Steven back in the lineup, getting his feet on the ground. He's only, been back in for 3 days, but, drove a couple runs in for us in New York. So, having those two veteran presence in the middle of the lineup, if we can get those bats going and get some guys on in front of them, it'll definitely help impact our offense. But I do feel our offense has had, it's improving. It's going in the right direction. I think we out-hit the Yankees, even though we didn't win, the games in New York. I think we out-hit them collectively in the series. And again, last night we out-hit Seattle, but we ended up on the wrong side of the game.
So the ball club, you're going to be back home for 4th of July. 4th of July is always a special day. It's fireworks. It's honoring our country, like country's birthday. For you as a player, as a coach, now a manager, what's 4th of July like for a big leaguer?
It's a great day. And you're obviously looking forward to going out and playing, the greatest game there is. And, having an opportunity to, at the end, sit and maybe your family's there, embrace the fireworks, embrace the moment. I think looking back on my career, the only 4th of July that really jumps out at me was that we actually had a day off on 4th of July. So, you definitely enjoy playing the game and then playing it on, as you talk about, the 4th of July and celebrating this great country.
Wait, you had a day? What is that? How's that possible? I've never had a day off on 4th of July.
It happened. I was with the Padres. I think it was either 02 or 03. We were in Colorado. We flew in on the 3rd and had an off day on the 4th. And myself, Ryan Klesko, Phil Nevin, manager of the Angels, jumped on some Harleys with our wives and took off up to Vail and took in the 4th at Vail. It was a pretty amazing day actually, but that's something else. So.
That's amazing. I mean, because, fireworks for us is, every year it's my wife going, we're going to this barbecue. We're going to this party. And my standard line is, we'll meet you later.
That's great.
So coming back for the homestand, how important is it? I don't know what you say to the guys. I don't know what you do, but just how important is it for you guys to start getting back on track at home and winning games at the Coliseum where normally the A's are pretty dominant?
Yeah, we said it last homestand, and we're going to go home and focus on just winning games and how we do that. And offensively, we've had our struggles at the Coliseum, and I think that's kind of laid over our heads in terms of our hitters' confidence. But we're swinging the bats well, so hopefully we come home, continue to swing the bats well, and win some baseball games at home.
Well, good stuff. Enjoy the Pacific Northwest, and next time we'll talk, we'll see you in Oakland.
Sounds good, Tony. Thanks for having me, bud.
There you go. It's the Mark Kotsay Show brought to you by Ness Betting. Oh, golf tip going off on Instagram. Go to Ness Betting. Check out their locations in the Bay Area, or you go online, nessbetting.com. Mattress, sheets, pillows, anything with bedding. Check them out. And, of course, the mattress Ricky Anderson sleeps on. And quite a few other people that we know. Nestbetting.com. Use the coupon code Oakland to get 10% off your entire order.
Because we're about out of time.
What? What time's the show?
Pregame's at 6:10.
Okay, quickly. Hats off. And I'm gonna have a tough time with this. But the Astros, if they're taking on the Yankees with all this Yankee crap now, I might be rooting for them.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. By the way, since June 18th, that was the last time the Astros trailed in an at-bat in a game. Against the White Sox was June 18th. That's the last time they've gone into an inning or an at-bat. They were trailing. They're 15-9 against teams that if the season ended today, and they were in the playoffs, they're 15-9 against those teams. And what did I send you today? Oh, never trailed in their entire series with the Yankees or the Mets.
That's incredible.
Never trail.
Because we're talking about the Yankees, who could break the 100, could get it to 120 wins.
Oh, you're crown. Oh, the Yankees might as well just give the World Series ring to the Yankees.
Aaron Judge is going to be the MVP.
As much as I hate the Astros, I hate the Yankees.
I went and looked right now. The Astros won that 1-0 in the first inning today.
It's all right. It ended today.
Yeah. I just wanted to look to see how they did today, and because they're on that Apple TV game. But yeah, they're up 2-1 against the Angels right now.
All right. There's a lot we didn't get. We got to get into
your All-Star voting. I want to hear this.
Oh my God. All-Star voting is just now done online by it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Is the All-Star voting not real? And now there's an automatic starter into the All-Star game. The All-Star games in every sport have jumped the shark. They don't work anymore. Sad.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to watch a Pro Bowl. Nobody watches NBA. Nobody watches NHL. The last game that kind of stood the test of time was because baseball can actually do a real game. But now it's like the ratings have just gone like this for the All-Star game.
My wife and I are going with her father and grandfather. We're going to the Home Run Derby. We're not going to the All-Star game. We bought tickets for the Home Run Derby, so I'm going to that. But I've been to the All-Star game. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine if you're there to watch it. It's cool if you have rooting interest from, cool seeing someone from the A's or team you like. But it doesn't mean that the World Series thing isn't there anymore. Home field doesn't matter anymore.
I mean, this is something that's happened forever too. It's just like you get it, but it used to be people used to do the punch the ballots at the ballpark. Now people are just online and they vote for guys who are not even playing.
Like Fernando Tatis, who's
hasn't played a game.
He's fifth in the shortstop voting.
Hasn't played a game. Mike Schmidt was voted in, and he at least played, but he was hitting like $167. It's like people don't pay attention. It's like, what is this?
William Contreras, the backup catcher for the Braves, is the second DH right now. He's played 12 games at DH. Started 12, played 13. What are we doing?
Yeah. What is the credibility of this?
He's going to start because Bryce Harper's hurt.
And it used to be, hey, it's about the fans because it was the fans who punched the ballots at the ballpark. Now everything's done online. These aren't even fans. Majority of the people voting are people who don't even go to games.
Yeah, true.
It's become big business. MasterCard's involved. I get that. I'm all for that. I'm all for making money in baseball. But we used to say the fan vote mattered because the fans, this is who they want to see because all the votes were coming from the ballpark. If you don't know, they used to give you this little paper, kind of stiffer paper, and you would punch the holes for who you wanted to see, and you'd turn it into the usher. Usher would turn it in. So the people who were being voted in the All-Star game were by people who actually attended baseball games. Now, everything is done online. Now it has nothing to do with actually going to games. So is this really who the fans want to see?
By the way, guess who's, real quick, guess who's third in the AL third base All-Star voting?
Matt Chapman.
Because
all Canada
votes for him.
Yeah,
he's not having
online.
He's not having an All-Star year, but Canada comes out and votes for everyone.
We do need to get more into the Bobby Bonilla Max shirt. So it's on the same day now.
Yeah.
July 1st.
July 1st.
That's crazy. All righty. That'll do it for A's Cast Live. We want to thank the president, Dave Kaval, Ryan Rowland-Smith from the Seattle Mariners, former player, now does a podcast with Grant Belfour, former A, and the manager, Mark Kotsay. Coming up in 7 minutes, we'll have A's Total Access brought to you by Chevron. July 4th, don't forget, A's Cast Live. What time are we on?
We're on at 3. We're going to have Dan Schoen from the Blue Jays, and we're going to have – I asked for Stephen Piscotty because he's back, but he has a great story with Mark Capella as his college roommate, which we found out today on Mad Dog Show.
Everybody takes the day off because it's a holiday, not A's Cast Live. We'll see everybody on Monday.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone.